All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWT 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I've been creating a series of video presentations based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. I'm in the JavaScript portion, and we're still on our first steps, and we're in a first splash. Now, a couple things. First of all, and please believe me, this is a terrific program. It is not, I didn't write it, but it's a terrific program, and then it goes over so many things. But once it actually works, so let's go back here where we've got the actual working copy. All right, so when we first started, right here. Okay, what if I put in 1,000? And I submit the guess. It says wrong, your guess was too high. Well, it's supposed to be between 1 and 100, so that makes sense. What if I put in negative 345? It says wrong, your guess was too low. What if I put in here, hello? It comes back NaN. Well, what the heck is that? NaN means not a number. So we can make this better, and I'm going to show you that as we go on in just a little minute, in a couple minutes. So we left off on events here, and it says at this point we have a nicely implemented check guess function, but it won't do anything because we haven't called it yet. Ideally, we want to make sure that when that submit button is actually clicked, all right, then we want to call this function. So in order to do that, we need to use what's called an event. As mentioned, there are events are things that happen in the browser. Now, JavaScript, like many programming languages, is an event-driven programming language. So in other words, we've got a full program here. I'm not going to say it's functioning correctly, but it is a fully functioning program right now. All right. What we have to do now is we have to create what's called an event listener. And as it mentions there, it's a block of code that will run in response to an event handler. So it says add the following line of code below your check guess function. And in English, what this says is, hey, when we click the button that's called check guess, all right, we're going to set up an event listener to this. So as they mention, it's a method that takes two values, also known as arguments. So this is something inside of the parentheses. The first is the type of event we're listening for, and it's a click event. So we want to click the button. And the second is, what do we want to have happen when that button is clicked? We want the check guess function to run. All right. We don't put the parentheses in here because that would literally call it. This is just letting the system know when you click guess submit, we want that function to run. All right, so let's check. So they're saying put this below our check guess function. So here's our check guess function. It's right there. So below it, we're putting that call. Okay? All right. So let's see if it's getting closer, at least, to running. No. All right. I probably shouldn't have put this into another file, so that's really on me for doing that. So I should really just go back and add all this code. Let's do that. Let's go back in, and rather than having me add this, all right, let's just grab all of this that we have in here thus far, copy it to the clipboard, go back into here, all right, and we'll leave that there, onload equal check guess. That should still work. And let's put this in here inside of script tags. So we're just going to paste everything in there. So it's now in there, and it's in there within script tags. All right, put a little bit of formatting in there, not too much, but it looks a little better like that. And let's see now if we run it, if it does anything. I should have been following their steps rather than trying to go on and follow my own here. All right, so come in here, 45. Too high. I just want to see if we're going to get something. 22, too low. 33, too high. 26, too low. 29, too low. 31, too low. 32. Congratulations, you got it right. So it's almost working. Now, you may or may not have noticed when I first started, it gave me a wrong guess of 0 right away, and even I hadn't done anything yet. All right, so let's take a look at that. So it says it works to a point. The only problem is now you guess the correct answer or run out of guesses, the game will break because you haven't defined the set game over functionality yet. So let's take a look at that. Before we even go over this functionality to finish this, let's make it, right now with what we just looked at, and we ran it, there's nothing happening in here. We can keep guessing, I guess, like this, but the game, let's run it again, and let's put in a bunch of wrong guesses. 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, game over. We don't have a new game or anything else put in here as of right now. So the program in its current format is incomplete. All right, so they want us to call this set game over. So let's put the code in, and then let's go back and take a look at all of that code and see what it does. All right, so the first thing that's happening in here, and I'm a little quirky about lining things up. All right, so we want to say guess field disabled equal true. So in other words, we don't want you to be able to guess anymore because you've already finished the game. So the field, guess field, which is the guess field, I believe, is that text box, that should be disabled. So should the button be disabled. The reset button, all right, is now going to be created to allow us to start a new game. We're adding the reset button to the screen, and we're saying, hey, when you click that, call reset game. Well, is there a reset game? I don't see one. So that's going to be, again, something else it looks like that we're going to have to write. So as it says, these first 2 lines disable the text input and the button. Already mentioned that. The next 3 lines generate a new button, set its text to start a new game, and add it to the bottom of the existing HTML. The final line sets up an event listener for that new button. The reset game hasn't been created yet, so we need to run this too. So we put in this code, and not run it, but we need to create it and then actually run it. So there's that one. And again, let's pretty this up a bit. So what's going on in here? Well, we're resetting our guess count equal to 1. All right. We're coming in here and we're grabbing the results stuff, it looks like. This is, I believe, is going to hold what our guesses are. We're setting it to nothing. Remember, it was originally, it had a 0 in there, which was incorrect. We're removing the reset button. All right. We are now enabling our text box, and our button. There's nothing in there right now. We're giving that the focus. We're setting our background color, which remember was green if we guessed correctly, and red if either we guessed incorrectly or we'd reached the end. And then we're generating a new random number. So what they're explaining in here is pretty much what I just told you. Put the guess count back to 1, empty out the text from the paragraphs that had our current guesses and stuff in there, remove the reset button, enable the form element, remove the background from the last result, generate a new random number. So it says by now you should have a fully functioning game. Now, I agree with them. But before we go on and look at loops, I want to look at two different things. All right, so let's go back to here, and we have saved. So it should be, as they mentioned right now, a fully functional game. Let's look. So I'm going to refresh. I don't know why it didn't reset, but let's see. So 45. Too high. 22. Still putting 0 in there, and I'm not sure why. All right, too low. 33. Too low. 41. Too low, so it must be 42. Too low. Oh, it must be 43 or 44. 43, 44. There we go. We got it right. Now notice the start new game is in here. All right, and when we click it, now everything else is gone. I come in here to start a new game, and now again 50. Too high. 25. Too low. 37. Too high. 31. Too low. 34. Got it. One last time, but again, notice I can still put in 1111